Want to turn with me to John 19, verse 17? What is in your hands? I'm going to keep asking you that this morning. What is in your hands? John chapter 19, verse 17. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in the Hebrew Golgotha. Finally we see what was in Jesus' hands. It was the cross. The very thing he had created was now going to be used to put him to death. Jesus could have been anything. He could have been a doctor. He could have been a fisherman. He could even have been a tax collector, which I am sure would have been better than being a carpenter. Why? Because every day he would have been looking at this piece of wood. Now Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He knew where his pathway was leading him. So imagine now, he's making a table, and there's a leg. What do you think would have been going through Jesus' mind every time he touched or saw a piece of wood? He would have been reminded daily of what was waiting for him. I wonder if he gave thanks. This is Jesus we're talking about. I wonder if he gave thanks. But let it be an encouragement to you that Jesus knows all about time and trouble. Yeah. And we know from the garden that this was something Jesus didn't want to do. But notice he said, your will be done, not mine. Which is what we need to remember when we don't want to do something for God. But if he hadn't done it, then none of us would be here today. Salvation could not have been achieved. The price would not have been paid. I would not be headed for an eternity with my Lord. If he had put the cross in his hands and carried it, we wouldn't be here today. He could have stopped at any time, but he knew it was his God-given destiny to walk this path. So next time you go down the road of suffering for doing something for God, remember what Jesus went through. And let it encourage you to continue on to completion. He had in his hands the cross he carried for me. Notice they got Simon to carry it for Jesus. But the truth of it is, Jesus carried it for him, and for me, and for you. Jesus had help carrying his cross, and he wants to help you. He also carried in his hands our sins. In all these cases, there had to be an action to get a reaction. Moses had to use the staff. The disciples had to go with the bread. And Jesus had to carry the cross. So today, what is in your hands?